Welcome in, beautiful Virgo. Take a deep breath and settle into this moment with me. If you're drawn to this message, it's not by accident. Before we begin, if this reading resonates with your heart, supporting the channel with a like or a subscribe truly helps keep these messages flowing to you and to others who need them. Virgo, the energy coming through immediately feels heavy, emotional, and sincere. As I tune in and begin pulling the cards, there is a deep sense of regret surrounding someone connected to you. This is not surface level sadness. This is the kind of sorrow that sits quietly in the chest, the kind that keeps someone awake at night, replaying moments they wish they could undo. The cards show love that never disappeared, only love that became overwhelmed by fear, confusion, and emotional pressure. This person loves you deeply. That truth is undeniable here. What's also undeniable is that they pushed you away at a time when they were internally unraveling. I see emotional exhaustion, inner conflict, and someone who did not know how to receive love without feeling exposed or vulnerable. You triggered something powerful in them, Virgo, not pain, but truth. And instead of leaning into it, they panicked. The cards reveal that they convinced themselves you deserved better than the version of themselves they were showing. Rather than communicating that fear, they withdrew. They created distance. They may have gone cold or silent, and even though it looked like rejection from your side, internally it felt like self-sabotage on theirs. They regret that now more than they ever admitted out loud. There is a strong energy of apology here, even if the words have not been spoken yet. I see them replaying conversations, rereading messages, remembering the way you showed care without asking for anything in return. That memory weighs on them. They know they mishandled something precious. The cards show guilt mixed with longing. They miss your presence, your steadiness, the way you made things feel calmer just by being there. Virgo, you didn't imagine the connection. This was real. The emotional bond went deeper than words, and it changed them. Even now, after distance or separation, your energy lingers with them. They compare others to you and find that something is always missing. There's a sadness in realizing too late what you had. What's important for you to know is that their behavior was not a reflection of your worth. The cards emphasize that this was about their inability to fully face their own emotions at the time. They felt unworthy, overwhelmed, or afraid of losing control. Instead of stepping up, they stepped back. There is movement coming. I see them wanting to reach out, wanting to explain, wanting to say, I'm sorry for pushing you away when all you did was care. Whether this comes as a message, a call, or an unexpected emotional confession, the intention behind it is genuine. They want you to understand that the distance was never about a lack of love. At the same time, the cards gently remind you to stay grounded in your own truth. You've grown through this, you learned what you deserve, and you don't need to rush or lower your boundaries for anyone. If reconnection happens, it must come from emotional maturity and honesty, not fear. Virgo, you are seen here as someone who loved purely and gave sincerely. That left a lasting mark. The love you offered planted a seed that continues to grow inside them, even in silence. And as this energy unfolds, more will be revealed about how this connection is meant to evolve, because the story between you is not as simple as it once seemed, and the emotions involved are still very much alive. Virgo, as I continue to pull into this energy, the emotional layer goes even deeper. This person isn't just sad about losing you, they're sad about who they were when they had you. There's a strong sense of self-blame here. They recognize now that they acted from fear instead of love, from insecurity instead of truth. And that realization didn't come immediately. It came slowly, after the silence, after the distance, after they felt what life was like without your presence grounding them. The cards show them watching you from afar, even if you don't realize it, checking in energetically, wondering how you're doing, asking themselves if you've moved on. There's anxiety around the idea that they may have lost you for good. That fear is real, it's heavy, and it's part of what's pushing them toward wanting to make things right, or at least clear the air. What stands out strongly here is that you awakened something in them that can't be undone. You showed them a version of connection that was calm, supportive, and emotionally safe. And now that they've tasted that, everything else feels empty or chaotic in comparison. The cards reflect emotional comparison, regretful reflection, and a longing to go back to a moment when things felt simple and real. Virgo, there's also an acknowledgement here that you were patient longer than most would have been. You gave understanding where others would have walked away sooner. That's not lost on them. They see it now. They respect it now. And there's remorse for taking that loyalty and care for granted. I'm also seeing internal conflict on their side about whether they even deserve another chance. Part of them wants to reach out immediately to say everything they've held in. Another part of them is afraid of reopening wounds or being rejected. So if communication feels delayed or hesitant, understand that it's coming from fear, not indifference. For you, Virgo, the cards highlight emotional clarity. You're no longer in the same place you were when this connection first unfolded. You've grown stronger, more self aware, more protective of your peace. That puts you in a position of choice, not waiting. And that shift in your energy is felt by them. They can sense that you are no longer standing still. There is love here, deep and genuine, but love alone is not the full story. Accountability matters. Growth matters. And the energy ahead suggests that if this person does come forward, it will be with a different tone than before. Less ego, less avoidance, more honesty. This connection isn't finished teaching either of you something important. Whether it moves toward healing together or closure that brings peace, the emotional truth is finally rising to the surface. And as this continues to unfold, more clarity will come about what role this person is meant to play in your life now. Not who they were before, but who they are becoming. Virgo, as this reading settles, what becomes undeniable is that this connection was never shallow or accidental. It changed both of you at a core level. For them, it shattered old patterns they didn't even realize they were living in. For you, it awakened a deeper understanding of your own worth, your boundaries, and what real emotional safety should feel like. The cards show a moment of truth approaching, where emotions that have been buried can no longer stay hidden. This is not impulsive energy. This is someone who has sat with their mistakes, replayed conversations in their mind, and finally understands how their actions affected you. There's regret here, yes, but there's also maturity forming out of that regret. They are learning that love isn't something you test or push away just to see if it stays. You may notice a shift in how you feel as well. Less confusion, less emotional heaviness, more inner calm. That's because you've already done much of the emotional work. You released the need to chase clarity. You chose yourself, and that decision changed the dynamic completely. Now, anything that comes toward you has to meet you at your level. If communication happens, it carries the energy of honesty rather than excuses. If it doesn't happen immediately, understand that the realization is still unfolding on their side. Either way, you are no longer stuck in limbo. You are moving forward with or without them, and that is exactly why the energy feels lighter now. What this reading ultimately reveals is that love doesn't always return in the form we expect, but it always returns the truth. And that truth brings peace empowerment, and emotional freedom. You are stepping into a phase where you no longer doubt your value or question your intuition. You trust yourself now. And as this chapter reaches its natural pause, remember this, Virgo. You were never too much. You were simply asking the wrong person to meet you at the right depth. Whatever comes next, it aligns with the version of you who knows what they deserve and refuses to settle for anything less.